So you are entering the magic world of quantum physics. Well, non-locality decision of the outcomes here between these two detectors is decided, could be decided by a free non-material choice coming from outside space-time. Actually, this was already included in the so-called collapse of the wave function of Copenhagen. This is a bit more complicated than this, but this concept of non-locality was already implicitly included in this concept here, and this was what provoked Einstein. If you wish to have the decision here, then you have to introduce this concept of the empty wave, that is a particle going always a well-defined way, or the path, but the other way you get a wave that is no material too, but propagating in space-time. So I think another issue. Interesting is that the experiment of putting the two, you have here an interferometer that is another type of interferometer of this one, but is essentially the same. The experiment of putting these two detectors enough far away from each other so that they cannot communicate when they are activated to detect, interestingly, this experiment has not yet been done. And I would like to do it. It is not quite complicated. It is enough to put the two detectors about 75 centimeters far away. And to test whether, in this case, we have this, the two detectors click together or not. So I think an important property of this non-locality at detection is that it is necessary to have conservation of the energy in each individual quantum process and not only in the average. An open question is whether this non-locality at detection and the Bell's non-locality, Antonio referred previously to, are two different types of non-locality, are the same type. Can one locality be derived from the other? These questions are, for the moment, open. Non-locality at detection in single particle experiments assumes that nature doesn't cheat. That is an important issue. So my demonstration of non-locality is assuming that there is no cheating. If one assumes the possibility of cheating and wishes to implement non-locality for commercial purposes, like for instance cryptography, then you have to use entanglement and Bell inequalities, like Antonio explained before. So, once again, non-locality detection, quantum mechanics predict the distributions of the two detectors, but it does not predict the order in which these outputs come. No human being can, through material agency, manipulate a quantum interferometer and oblige it to print out a determined piece of information. What I am referring to about this control is a control which is non-material, which is coming from outside space-time, also non-material in the sense we understand this today in today's science, and that is what I speculate can happen in the brain. So I would speculate now to say that when you have here these outputs without any control, then you have a kind of unconscious spontaneous behavior, like breathing and eyes movements and behavior you have in passions like vegetative state passion and so on. And in this, yeah, thank. And here you are. This you could say, well, if here this is also moving randomness, then here you will have no control. I think that in our brain there is the two kinds of processes: spontaneous processes without order, without control, and the processes that you could control, for instance, moving, changing the parameters here in order, for instance, to have the possibility of making more outputs of ones or more outputs of zeros according to the information you wish to give out. And the important point, I think, is that is speculation, is that what makes you conscious and acting consciously is some activating system that relates these two kind of processes. So that is why I think this would be a kind of expander of non-material control. A small seed of meaning, of controlling this here, is expanded into a much longer, meaningful string that could be come out here. So that is, again, in us, in men, we have movements of endogenous origin, centrally coordinated, who would be continuous if not breaked by a central inhibition when they are not needed. So, what I am postulating is that you have this central control here, which is related to these outputs here. So that you can have a certain, when you say conscious, when you are controlling this here in order to get the output you desire. So that is very much related to the whole issue of the central pattern generators. And these central pattern generators are these kinds of generators who are producing the spontaneous movements we are doing during much of our time. And these central pattern generators are can be controlled by these other cortical influences, and this is, for instance, in epileptic discharge, acts a trigger for the appearance of behavior, which are the expression of inborn patterns related to central pattern generators. And that is, I think, an important, that is why I like very much the both talks on neuroscience we have heard. I think this, for instance, the research of Sarah can indicate us which are the area of the brain which plays a role, a difference between vegetative state and between locating. So quantum randomness can be controlled by non-material principles, and today's physics is compatible with free will. Non-locality and detection may be key to understand how free will may steer neural networks. When detection happens is an open question in quantum physics today. A big philosophical challenge, in my opinion, is the question of where does the non-material agency in the universe outside our brains come from? That is, for me, the big philosophical challenge for the coming years, So it may be that free will requires likely more new philosophy than new physics. Thank you very much.